A couple of weeks ago, I was so fortunate to speak to Svjetlana about her journey into UX design. In this video, we're going to find out how transitioning from graphic design via a master's in HCI can help redefine your career, how real-world UX research in startups and scale-ups differs from what you'd find in academia, and the importance of being adaptable and finding out the true value of your work. So let's hear from Svjetlana. The reason I wanted to get you on is to kind of find out your journey into being a designer, because I know you did a master's in HCI?
Yeah, that's correct. Hi everybody, I'm Svjetlana. I'm a designer for the last 10 years. I've been mostly working in B2B startups, scale-ups, and so on. How I got into design, so I did my bachelor's degree in graphic design. This was in my home country of Serbia. I did bachelor's in graphic design. I worked for a bit for 3-4 years all around. I worked a bit in Serbia. I had an internship in Brazil as well.
Oh wow.
And then
Sick.
I reached a point where I was, okay, this is great. I've really enjoyed doing this. And this was around 2015, 2016, when UX was just starting to take shape and start to being developed.
Yeah, people didn't even really know what UX was before
Exactly, especially in Serbia. I mean, in London, probably some companies knew what they were doing, but in Serbia, you were still called a web designer, UX, UI designer. So I was figuring out where my place is in UX design, and I really enjoyed doing different redesigns, website designs. Even I had an experience to do an early stage app design.
Oh, really cool.
But you know what was the problem? The whole thing kind of felt it was very opinion based. So it was most, this is what I created. Does it look nice? You know,
Yeah.
that sort of stuff. So I was, okay, I don't see how the value of my work, what is the value of my work? How am I contributing to creating something meaningful in this world? And is this actually working and things like that?
Yeah.
I think I was mostly brainstorming and Googling stuff and figuring stuff out, like how can I understand if what I created is bringing any value? And obviously I did hear about user research and testing, but I didn't know what you need to do user research
like
properly.
get into it. Yeah.
So that's kind of when I found about HCI, or human-computer interaction.
Nice.
And then I started Googling, how do you educate yourself about human-computer interaction? I did do the traditional way of doing it. So I chose to go to university to do a master's degree. I did mine at UCL, University College London.
So that's a one-year master's.
That's a one-year master's. I think it starts in September and it finishes in September. And there's different kind of courses that you can choose. And you get to choose 8 or 9 courses. And then there's 2 that are not optional. They are mandatory.
What were the mandatory courses?
So they were interaction science and interaction design.
Yeah.
The science part, that was mostly about learning the theory about how you're supposed to do quantitative research and also qualitative research. So just understanding what's the theory behind that. I think they pulled a lot from psychology.
Yeah.
And then probably statistics and analytics, that sort of stuff. I mean, I came from graphic design and most of my colleagues, they came from psychology or statistics.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
And that was such a big learning curve for me because there's so many new things that I have to understand and learn about and then do a test or write an essay about that. But also like, you just understand how to properly do research and how you can base all of this on the data and how you have a science behind that. You can prove it in that sense. And then interaction design was more about just design stuff that I kind of knew already. I mean, I did 4 years of graphic design, so you learn about what makes good design, contracts, balance, positioning, things like that. Yeah.
Nice.
So those were the 2 that were mandatory.
Okay, cool. And then what were the rest like? You could
so
just choose.
you could choose like any kind of mixture you want to do. And there was like a specific one that I really regret I didn't do it. It was kind of mixture of physical prototyping and computer science.
Oh, that sounds so cool.
Yeah, and it had a long name and I didn't realize what it was actually about, you know, because you get titles and descriptions and you're supposed to choose. Oh, I wish I'd done that one. That one seems very fun because there's a maker studio at UCL and they got to use the maker studio to create their own little prototypes. I think they used R or maybe even Python.
Yeah.
That could have been fun, but yeah. I mostly focused on choosing the research modules because that's what I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn how to do proper research. Awesome. Of my design. And there were some good ones that were really good in teaching me that. And there were some of them that I was, what am I actually doing here? What is this course about?
Okay.
Yeah, it's still like a new course that they're doing at UCL, so I think they're still modifying it. So
Yeah, trying to
probably
work
like
out.
whoever does it now, it's going to be different than what I've done.
Yeah, of course. So you said you finished the course by working on a graduate thesis.
Yeah.
What was your thesis about?
Yeah, that was one of my favorite courses, and it was with this professor who kind of researches emotions and emotional effects. It's called affective interaction, so affect from
Affective, yeah.
yeah, affective interactions from emotions, how they influence our interaction with technology. So not
Wow.
just yeah. It was. I mean, I was always interested into psychology and just understanding what is behind our actions and what do we actually do before we take an action and things like that. So my thesis was about how you can send touch over distance.
Wow, that's so cool.
And this was pre-COVID, just to let you know. This was
Yeah.
2019, summer 2019. And everybody was, why are you researching this? This is so useless. Who would want to send touch over distance?
Whereas I feel like when you say that now, everyone gets it straight away. Everyone's like,
Exactly.
oh my God, that's so interesting, so necessary.
Yeah, I chose to work with her just because I was inspired by her as a professor. I thought she was a really good professor, and it was a part that I kind of found very interesting, merging emotions with technology together. Basically, what I specifically did in this thesis was we had a device, and that device was very rudimental. At UCL, we were using this device that had pressure, temperature, and vibration, and you would use those three different kind of cues to describe the touch. So you would need to kind of fit your thinking about touch into those three different kind of parameters.
Okay, yeah.
And then I was looking at a specific group of people. I was looking at friends and how friends would use that. What kind of gestures would they use to describe, oh, I'm happy, I'm sad,
Yeah.
I'm celebrating something, I'm sending you love, and things like that. So what kind of hand gestures they would use for that, and then how would they apply pressure, temperature, or sort of
All of those
vibration to
Wow, this sounds so interesting.
Yeah.
It sounds so cool.
It was super interesting because you don't get to do that in day-to-day life
No,
in
yeah,
companies.
yeah.
So
That
yeah.
sounds like such a cool research. So what happened to your research after you wrote it
Yeah.
up and everything?
So it wasn't just me, it was a couple of us who were researching this. We kind of joined all of our research papers and we published the research paper together.
Awesome.
Yeah, as a
Cool.
joint. So it's online and you can take a look at it.
We'll add a link in the description so people can go read it. So it was awesome to hear about your master's, and your thesis sounded super interesting. I wanted to ask next about what it was like looking for a job after you finished it. How did it set you up for kind of moving into working in UX?
I have like a couple of other friends who also did the same master. So some of us went into design. Obviously, with the design background, I went into design. My goal was just to learn research and be able to do that by myself as well.
Yeah.
And some of my friends also went into research. They're UX researchers, UX research managers, and so on. It depends, I guess, is the answer, as every UX designer will tell you.
It depends, yes.
It depends. For me, I think there were good things about it. Of course, the good things are UCL is a known brand, it's a known name.
Yeah.
First of all, it's nice to have it on your CV. Second, it was also a nice thing because when you see lots of jobs, they are looking for somebody who studied bachelor's, either bachelor's or master's in HCI or computer science or design-related degree. So in that sense, it was a good kind of, I guess, base for understanding what UX research is. But what I think it was kind of missing is you learn at academia, you learn how to do UX research in academia. You don't learn how to do UX research in startups or scale-ups that I work. So lots of things that you do learn there, cut it out.
Yeah.
And just focus on the ones that are the most agile, so the quickest one. Just adapt all of those methods that you have learned to the environment that you're going in. Definitely was very useful in that sense later on in my job. When I was searching for a job, I think most of the employers were looking at my background in my previous
Your
work,
design background.
and not so much into my master's, which I think did contribute a bit next to my
I guess it's
experience.
something else on your
Yeah.
CV to include, like.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say you need to have a master's in HCI to find a UX job. There's other ways to learn about that. And,
Yeah. And do you know anyone who did the HCI Masters who's kind of stayed in academia and continued on to do a doctorate or more research?
Yeah, I actually do. So one of my friends, she did a doctorate at City University. I think it was at
in HCI.
So it was kind of related to HCI. So she studied gaming and how monetization is done in gaming, and she's now working as a researcher as well in that field. So she did her doctorate and then became a researcher in that field.
That's really, really cool.
Yeah. So there's different ways that you can use that degree. You can go into, as I said, UX research, UX design. You can stay in academia. So yeah.
This is the hard question. I haven't told you I'm going to ask this.
Okay.
Would you recommend someone in 2025, would you recommend someone doing an HCI Masters?
It depends what that person's goals are with that Masters, where they are in life as well. What do they want to accomplish?
Who would you recommend it to, and who would you not recommend it to?
So I would recommend if you think you're financially able to do it, because again, UCL, big university, you're gonna need to find ways how you're gonna pay for all of that. And if you do want to work in UX research job, I think it's quite good because it sets you up for knowing how to do proper UX research.
Different research methods.
If you want to stay in academia, for sure.
Of course.
I think UCL is good because, in a sense, why they do so much research and so much academic research is because they set you up very well to exceed in academia. So I wrote a couple of essays, I wrote 2 research papers, so it kind of sets you up if you do want to find a job in academia.
Yeah, I guess having that experience of writing research papers and getting professors to read over them is just invaluable.
And also, I guess it's a good name as well, when you're a researcher.
Who would you not recommend doing an HCI Masters to?
I would not recommend if you want to just learn a bit of the basis of UX research. I think there's so many resources online now. And I know it comes from me who chose to do the traditional way of doing it. But I think you can still skill up and learn how to do UX research, especially if you work in a startup or a scale up. There's a different type of UX research you're gonna.
I've never had the fortune to work somewhere where we've got dedicated researchers. I've always worked where research is done as part of a designer's job, scrounging for resources, trying to make it happen.
Yeah. I was lucky that I did have places where we had UX researchers, and they were mostly focusing on strategic research, looking at the bigger picture and things like that. I wouldn't say they needed an HCI degree from a university to do that. Some of them did have it. But I think learning how to recruit people in startups and scale-ups, learning how to do unmonitored research or testing and things like that, how to efficiently do that. I don't think that universities are the best place to do that.
It almost feels like the best experience comes from learning on the job or actually going out and doing it. And you don't necessarily need a master's to do that. Is that fair?
Exactly. I mean, if you do, now I'm thinking people are probably going to ask themselves, so why did you choose to do it? I guess I come from Serbia, so I needed a big name on my CV as well to kind of help me stand out between people who are applying for a job. So I guess that was one consideration.
It sounds like your degree was so enjoyable. It sounds like you did some really fun stuff and made loads of great friends on it. So
exactly,
Sounds like an awesome
it was good for that as well.
Great, well, thank you so much, Svjetlana, for telling me about your experience. It's been so awesome to hear about it. I'm sure everyone listening is really appreciative of it. So thanks so much for taking the time.
Of course. And if you have any kind of questions or anything, just write them in the comments. We might do another video, or maybe Talon will respond to them, or I'll respond to them.
Thank you so much for watching, everybody. If you did like this video, please do hit the button below. It really helps me out as I'm trying to grow this channel. And subscribe to make sure you don't miss any more interviews. Thanks so much, Svjetlana.
Thank you for having me. Bye.